Okay, so 20 years ago, people traveled in groups. All right, they would be on a set itinerary. They'd kind of carry their Lonely Planet guidebooks and walk around. And that was cool, right? It was in the early days of travel, but it wasn't really representative of what travel could be. Since then, with the democratization of travel through budget hotels, low-cost airlines, people have moved more and more towards independent travel and exploration. And I think that is what makes travel magical. And I got an early taste of that through my mom, who was a flight attendant. And so whenever she took me on travel, we would go to, we wouldn't be on a tour, obviously. We would go to these little known places back then, holes in the wall, and really get a feel for the local community, the local highlights, and get the best at a value for money price. And that's something that stuck with me for a long time and informed how I traveled throughout my life. So my background's in finance, and I was talking to and working with friends who were property investors as well. And over the last 10 years, Japan was the world's fastest growing tourism destination in the world, but Japan didn't have enough hotel rooms. And so given the growth in demand and the lack of supply, everyone was starting to look at hotels, whether it be for buying hotels or managing hotels. And that's when I got a bit interested in the industry. My background's in technology and consumer, had nothing to do with hospitality or customer service. And so I went around with my friends and we visited like 30, 40 hotels all around the gateway cities of Japan, Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto. We looked at the numbers, we interviewed the managers and the staff, and looking at their operations from my perspective as a technology investor globally, it was like shocking at how outdated processes were. We're talking, the servers are still on premise, tons of manual paper-based repetitive tasks, staff who were overworked, and even then, too many staff. And given what I knew about where the world was going in terms of technology, what was possible, I saw a huge opportunity for us to rethink the concept of hotels. And that was very early on. And of course, since then, I've learned a lot more about the hotel industry. And I think what I've seen only convinced me more that, our original thesis was correct, even more so than I originally imagined. There's a lot of issues with the hotel management industry and the way it's structured because of history, because of economics, because of interested parties that make it extremely outdated and inefficient. As someone who loves Japan, I grew up, this is the classic why you love Japan type of thing, right? Where I grew up with anime and manga. I went to Japan a lot because my mom also really liked Japan. She would go on like an onsen pilgrimage every year. And so I would join her. And so it was very natural for me when I considered a move from Hong Kong, where I was working in investing, to Japan to start this business. And I thought that if we could do hotels, hospitality anywhere, Japan, given the industry dynamics, given the size of the opportunity, it just made a lot of sense to build it here. Yeah, I definitely underestimated how hard a hotel business is, right? And then also we were founded right before COVID. Someone who never knew how to run hotels and never ran a hotel, we started the business right in the worst travel for crisis since the invention of the airplane. So that was pretty rough, but despite all the damage COVID has done to the world and people, in a way for the business, it has been a blessing, because in an environment where travel is booming and everyone's doing well, so to speak, the inefficiencies don't hit as hard. But in an environment where the travelers effectively disappeared, right? And in Japan is 80% domestic travelers, 20% inbound, but the inbound is growing very, very quickly. And we target the inbound traveler, actually. The idea is when travelers disappeared, inbound travelers pay more, they stay longer, they want to explore. When those guys disappeared, it became almost impossible, right? Revenues would fall to like 1/4 of what they normally were. But in that environment is where if you're more efficient, if you have more technology, you can put up better performance for your property partners, for banks who are looking at your business and gauging your capability as an operator. And during COVID, we were actually able to outperform every single hotel in the city, pretty much. Like we're in the top 1% rankings on, say, Booking.com. And we're competing not against other small boutique startups like us, but we're competing against large conglomerates who have tons of experience managing hotels, immense resources, and better designed hotels as well. But what we also realized is even with our disadvantages, we were able to make it work, outperform, which really proved our thesis of why we needed to found Wayfarer, and also helped us grow from one shitty hotel on day one to now 10 hotels operated and contracted in the Kansai area. And hopefully in the future we can get to Tokyo as well. It's not just about the room, right? The room is a base of operations for travelers to go out and discover more. It needs to be very clean. It needs to be easy to use. The user experience needs to be good. And it needs to be safe. But the rest is really, I call it almost like fluff, right? The trappings of how the hotel industry originally developed historically, which started with luxury and then kind of moved down from there. But I think with independent travelers and more travelers, what they want to do is they want to spend on the trip. They don't really want to spend $400 on the room, even if they can afford that. They'd rather shop, eat, do cool things. And so that's what we hope to allow travelers to do, right? And the room is really just the starting point. In the future, we hope to be like a travel brand that monetizes through hotels. And that is an immense amount of work that requires us to connect much more deeply with the community and actually partner up with them so that travelers can have some guidance on when they travel to Japan, right? We're literally a fixed location with local staff. And I am always pleasantly surprised when our team just recommends something or some place for us to go to when we go out for our gatherings. Most of them are incredibly good, and I would have never found them. And the hotel industry has largely been like, oh well, what can we do to keep our travelers in the hotel? Which meeting rooms, conference rooms, lounges, great restaurants, which for a 5-star luxury product certainly makes sense, right? But if you're in the mid-range and your vision is to help travelers, have better travel, more fulfilling travel, then you shouldn't be keeping them in the room. It should be like, okay, check in as seamless and fast as you possibly can, and then here's some cool things to do. Here's some partners. Because you stayed with us, you get a special promotion or maybe a crossover product, or just you find a place that you never would have found. And please go on your way, right? We'll hold your bags. So where's the funnel? The funnel for enabling travelers to do more, I think it's the hotels have a part to play there. Yeah, that's all.